indicator. It's a customized indicator specifically for your MT5 platform. And so you need, please can you mute your mics? Thank you. And so you need the MT5 platform to be downloaded on your laptop.
No, boy.
Sorry, I'm trying to mute everyone. That please, if you come in for the class, try muting your mics so that I don't get distracted. All right, thank you. So the trend line row indicator, I'm going to
Yes.
share it on the platform so that everyone can have a copy, and then use the default settings. I'm not going to change anything. All right. So I'm going to be showing you how to use it effectively on volatility. I'm also going to be showing you how to use it on boom and crash, and then jump index. I didn't check it on range. All right, I didn't check it on range break. So it's going to be an exciting class. After the class, you will also get the opportunity to ask me questions. All right. So just relax yourself and stay. All right. So first things first, like I said, the indicator has to be on default. Now, how it works is the indicator on its own, it gives you a buy and sell signal. All right. Example, at this point, when it also gives you a buy and sell signal, it gives you a take profit and a stop loss. So we are going to be starting with that. We are going to be starting with that. If I figure out where that note is coming from, I'm going to remove it. Sorry, I had to remove that particular person from the call. Thank you. All right, so it's better now. Whenever you get a signal, it's like this arrow which you can see here. It's an indication. This example we are using right now is step index on the 15-minute time frame. All right. So whenever you get a signal, it gives you a stop loss, and it also tells you how many pips that is. All right. Over here you can see that it's saying -239. I cannot really verify from this point to this point if that is the correct number of pips. But notwithstanding, at this point, this is where it's saying you should place your stop loss. All right. This is where it's saying you should place your stop loss. Okay, so that is 8821. So you could just possibly draw a horizontal line because it gives you that dot, that red dot, saying place your stop loss here. And then it tells you where to place your take profits, the yellow dot which you can see here. So on step index, when we had this buy signal, it was good. It was quite a good trade. Notwithstanding, this isn't enough because the challenge with this indicator is we are going to see it. It's lags. I hope you can hear me, or should I be more audible? All right. So the challenge with this indicator is it lags a lot. Yeah. So let me show you other examples. We had a sell signal at this point. Now, this was the point we had a sell signal. Please understand that this signal was good as it was able to hit take profit one and take profit two. But it's not enough because I'm going to show you how to filter entries, how to get the best out of this, and how to reduce the lag. All right. So just stay with me closely. So we had another sell signal here, but you can see how it's, I think it was a delayed signal. Notwithstanding, we're going to talk about filtering signals like this. So this was where the signal came, and let me see where the stop loss was for this particular trade. Okay, it's not showing. Okay, but this was where the signal came, and it was able to hit take profit one. It was also able to hit take profit two. All right, so this was a buy signal at this point, just hit take profit one. This was a sell signal, and this was also a buy signal. It hit all take profit one, two, three. Okay, let me. This was a sell signal. All right, it hit everything. It does not repaint, and that is why I also like the indicator. It does not repaint. This was a buy signal. Hits one, two, three. So you can see how it's been literally killing step index. I really do not want you to get excited yet. So this is an example of a signal you may have gotten, but you could see how, or you can see how it was very late because entering this signal at this point, you can also see that it clearly stated that the stop loss was hit. And this is actually nice. The fact that it is able to at least be truthful, unlike the repeating indicators a lot of people sell out there. Okay, so you could see this a buy signal. It also indicated that it hits its stop loss in as much as in the long term this was a good trade. So another thing about the indicator which you need to understand is this. If we zoom in closely, it has three colors. We have the yellow indicating a bearish sentiment, and most times whenever the arrow does appear, it's an indication for a buy, which comes with that blue, all right? It comes with that blue color. Okay, so there is another color which is the gray color. Whenever the gray color appears, it's indicative that the market is ranging. Okay, whenever the gray color does appear, example at this point, it's saying avoid taking trades at this point. At this point, avoid taking trades, and so on and so forth. So we can go on and on, trying to, sorry, excuse me, trying to explain how the indicator works. And there's another thing about the indicator which I need you to understand. The yellow line and the blue line act as dynamic support and resistance. Right? Dynamic support and resistance, I mean, is this. If you look at this closely, uh, this thick yellow line, this is where we got the signal, right? So we had the signal at this point, and you can see that at every point, price came to the dynamic yellow line. I can refer it to as a resistance. You can see that sort of reaction, all right? That sort of reaction. We had a bounce here, we had a bounce here, we had a bounce here, and we had another bounce here. Where else did we get a bounce? And then this thing really stay so long, and then I think currently on step index we are possibly or potentially having that bounce. Right. Dave, please, can you allow Larry to join the meeting? Thanks. Okay, so let's move on. Now, how do we identify sniper entries using this powerful indicator? On its own, if you do not want to use the indicator signal on its own, you can wait for the bounce of the dynamic. Example, whenever you get a cell, you can wait for the bounce of the dynamic resistance and support to possibly get in the trade. Right, so there was a particular signal I wanted to give. That was, let me share my trading view screen
I'm
so
not
that
hearing
we
what
can.
you're saying.
I dey check my airtime, they show me balance. I check make I see make I borrow money, they show me balance. Make I can't use the money for my account, they say no service.
Okay, I know there's no service. Can you mute your mic? Thank you. All right. So let me share my trading view so that we can take down the rules. The rules are much more important to me. Let me share my trading view screen. Okay, so I believe you guys can see my trading view screen. So this was where I got the Trendline Pro indicator. I'm going to share the file anyway. All right, so let's have the rules. Rule number one, how to effectively use the trend line for so rule or one of the best way you can use the trend line pro indicator, the first way is use it with a trend line breakout. Use it with a trend line breakout. Two, use it use it with divergence. Three, use it with other blocks. Or use the dynamic support and resistance. Then five, the last one is use it with Fibonacci. So these are the 5 ways we are going to be using the Trendline Pro indicator, and I'm going to be explaining and then the 6th one, sorry, this is more effective. Use it with RSI 4 period. Use it with RSI 4. Use it with RSI set to period 4. So for the RSI, we're using the crossover of the 70 and 20 and 30 line. And you guys are going to see a lot of magic with these. So please, let me just give you 30 seconds to write this down and take note of it while I look at my crash 1K because I took a sell. Let me see if it's doing what I told you. Okay. All right. So I should think it should be a profit. All right. So let's continue, and we're going to. It's going to be a long class. That's why I do not need any sort of distraction. So just stay with me closely, and so let's go back to our rules. I think I wrote it on the 1,000. All right. So how to effectively use the Trendline Pro indicator? Use it with a trendline breakout. Okay. Use it with a divergence. Use it with order blocks. Use it with the dynamics of support and resistance. What else? Use it with Fibonacci and use it with the RSI set to period 4. Please let me edit this so that for those of you writing. All right. Larry, I was trying to add you back on the class, but it's not working. So probably you just have to try with another account or join with another link, something like that. But sorry about the fact that you can't join. I was just trying to kick those who were disturbing. All right, so let's go back to the MT5 platform and then use these rules. So we're going to be starting with the trend line breakout. We'll move to the divergence, we'll move to order blocks, we'll move to Fibonacci, and then we'll move to RSI period 4. And then I can entertain questions and then we'll call it a day. All right, so now the first thing first, I said let's use it with breakout. So I prefer the 15-minute time frame because I can take quicker or sharp entry. So whenever you get a signal, whenever you get a signal, there are two basic type of breakouts you can use to take trades like this. We have what we call the diagonal breakout, and then we have what we call the horizontal breakout. The horizontal breakout is having a situation whereby your trend line is straight. When you have a straight trend line, let me show you what I mean. Your trend line is straight. So this is more like the horizontal breakout. And then diagonal, I mean when your trend line is slanted. All right, so for a cell, you need to have a diagonal breakout like this. All right, and the best place I could spot that was here. So when we got our cell signal at this point, your eyes need to be trained to be able to spot diagonal breakouts, and these are some of the things I teach in the mentorship class. But for since it's a long class, I'm just going to review most of them. So whenever you get a sell signal, it is indicative that step index on 15 minutes, it's going to be on a downtrend. So all you are going to be looking at for is diagonal breakouts, and this is one of the most clearest example I can possibly have spotted out, because if you look at this, the market was moving this way. So in a downtrend, you need to see price making a swing like structure. Let me see if I can give a better illustration to that. Let me just share my trading view screen. So in a downtrend, we need to see the markets behaving like this. In a downtrend, we need to see the markets behaving like this. And then we need to see that diagonal breakout for us to take the trade at this point. All right. And that was what I was looking at on the step index example, which I gave to you guys, which I'm using to give this illustration. So this is that example. All right, you can see the market is in a downtrend. Starting from this point, this signal came in. All right, and then this is the only legit diagonal breakout I can clearly spot. All right, there are tricks and other ways you can spot diagonal breakouts like this, but I'm not going to be teaching that. I'm just going to show you best ways you can enjoy the. So the Trendline Pro gives you a signal. You don't just take the signal. You can take it if you have a large account whereby you can risk a lot. But personally, I would want to wait for a good trend line breakout, which we had at this point, and then take a perfect sell signal. So now let's look at this point where we had a buy signal. So we have a buy signal at this point. Was there a diagonal breakout? Yes, I think I can spot one. So connecting these two resistance together. So this is a perfect trend line breakout because we have two minor resistance whereby price goes up, goes down, goes up again, goes down. So we have two clear resistance clearly shown here, and then we just needed to wait for the break of that resistance and then take our buy signal here. So fortunately, that was where the buy signal emanated from as a result of two major resistance that was broken. You can see this diagonal breakout, and this was a good sell signal. You're placing your stop loss above the previous swing high, and then your target should be 1:2 or 1:3. So for here, you can still decide to use your normal the take profit and stop loss that comes with the indicator itself. That can also work. All right, or you can decide to use your own take profits and stop loss. So we have a lot we have a lot to cover. So let's look at more examples. So this is a good signal that came with the buy. This is where I possibly would have taken my sales setup. All right. So now at this point we had the buy signal, but there was no clear resistance where we can have a diagonal breakout. Remember, for a buy, you need a diagonal breakout that points down this way, and for a sell, you need a diagonal breakout that points this way. Take note of these two structures. For a buy, you need a diagonal breakout pointing downward to take a neat buy. For a sell, you need a diagonal breakout pointing this way to take a neat. So let's just look at more examples. So when we had this buy signal, all right, it's ended up hitting take profit one, but in my books, I wouldn't really want take such signal because you can see how when this buy signal came and it wasn't so good. So I will personally wait for a diagonal breakout of two resistance, yeah, to take a buy signal. And unfortunately, there was none, so I can possibly, you know. So this is how you are able to filter false trades. So you have a sell signal at this point, but was there a breakout? There would have, okay, I think at this point there was a breakout, but you can see how price just respected the trend line without breaking. So if at any point we had a breakout from this trend line, that's where or when I can consider us taking a possible sell signal. All right. The breakout is so wonderful because it helps you filter false trades. So that's something you need to have in mind. And let's look at more examples. All right. So we had the buy signal at this point. So whenever you get a buy signal, also check if there is a breakout. Probably if I'm going to do the part two of this course, or of this lesson, this is something I would also want to teach you guys, something like this. If it's emanating from a breakout, so or a break and retest level, you can possibly take that signal. Example, this is a nice breakout we had here. All right, we had a breakout indicating an uptrend, had a straight line breakout. So whenever we have a signal, check if there was a previous breakout or there is an already existing breakout so that you can start enjoying or you can start having good entries from the base level, right? Okay, but aside that, let's stick with what is easy and convenient for everybody. So we get a buy signal. When you get the buy signal and you notice that it has stayed, like the move has already happened to a large extent, all you can do is wait for the market to present another opportunity. And another opportunity was presented here. You can see this clear signal here connecting these two resistance together. This is a resistance and then this is a resistance. Price actually did came to retest the trend line, but this is where I can possibly take a buy signal from. All right, please remember your trend line has to be diagonal. It shouldn't be straight line. We have a breakout here and you can see how price moved greatly in your favor. Now, because this bias is still in an uptrend, we are only just going to be looking for our breakout. So we have another breakout at this point because one thing I noticed with the trend line pro indicator, once it gives you a signal, you will not get multiple signals. All right, you're not going to be getting multiple signals. Let me be sure that this is being recorded. Okay, so whenever it gives you a signal, you're not going to be getting multiple signals. All you have to do is you need to look for new opportunities to take entries, and so we have a good entry here as a result of this diagonal breakout. All right, we have another good entry here as a result of this diagonal breakout. And I don't think there was a good okay, I think at this point there was one, but probably this candle, if whenever you see such candles, I'm just going to advise that you stay out of the market because it just leaves you confused on where to possibly place your stop loss. All right, but we need clear market structure, possibly a retest, and then so these are examples of the first rule which we spoke about on how to maximize this indicator. All right, so this is another situation. Let me delete this. Right. So this is another situation. We had a sell signal, and was there a diagonal breakout? No. The only breakout we had was this particular one. And if you notice, for this particular one, you can see that it is flat. All right. Like I said, I don't recommend a flat breakout because your stop loss is usually going to be high. As much as it can still go your favor, I don't recommend such trades. Right. But you can see the dynamic resistance, how price came back. So that's dynamic resistance and respected it. But we'll talk about that because not all dynamic resistance are good to go. So we had a buy signal here. The only diagonal breakout I could spot here is this. I wouldn't really be going into details why this was a diagonal breakout, but those who are quite advanced will understand this, right? We have a lot to cover. So this was an example. All right, so we had a sell signal here, but no diagonal breakouts, except probably you come to the 5 minutes, you would have seen a minor structure at this point where you can possibly have drawn a trend line like this and enjoy that trade. So we had a buy signal here. These are the diagonal breakouts we had. We had one. We have another one here. Let me draw this clearly. Yeah, one, two being connected. So if you go to the 5 minute time frame, you will see these levels clearly, right? So we had a sell signal at this point, and so we had the diagonal breakout one. So this is where you'll be taking a sell signal from, and this is where you're going to be taking another sell signal from. This is crazy, 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 guys. This is mad. Is where you're going to be taking your sell, stop loss, target one, ratio two. So you have a buy signal here, but you wait for a diagonal breakout. So now when we had this diagonal breakout, it started emanating from below. So instead of you to take a buy signal from below, all you can do is check a previous level or wait for the retest. So I'm not going to be doing that here because we have to. So you can see the diagonal breakouts. This was so we can go on and on spotting those levels, spotting those breakouts. I believe you
I'm in
understand
a
this
meeting. I will call
part,
you. I'm in a meeting.
so that we can move to the next rule. So we have clearly shown how we can use a given on crash 1000 on crash pairs. We'll come to crash pairs. It's a killer on crash pairs. Let us finish with stepping there. Probably you're going to give me your own examples we can use to kill derive. So this is more like us we're backtesting these stuff and so that we can. All right, so now let's go to the second one. We're done with diagonal breakout, so let's go back to our trading view chart. I forgot to take a buy. So the next thing we're going to be looking at is I'm actually anticipating crash 1000 to fall back to this level. Possibly, sorry, we're going to come to it at this level because this is quasi-modic pattern. So expect then oops. So those of you in this class, just take note of that in case I forget. Okay, so let's move on. So 1000, that's where we wrote down our rules, right? So we are done with trend line break. So the next way we can use it is using it with divergence. So for those of you that don't know what a divergence is, so this is it. I'm just showing you how it looks like. I'm not going to be explaining. So we are going to be looking at hidden divergence because we are trading with a trend, and the trend in this case is the trend comes from the trend flow indicator. That's what we are going to be using as a case study for. So this is what we are going to be looking at. It's a divergence, a hidden divergence. So let's just go to the chart so that I'm just going to show you guys examples, and then I'm also going to be talking about the RSI. Use it with the RSI set the period for. So for this example, your RSI has to be set to period 4 on your MetaTrader 4, sorry, MetaTrader 5 platform. So let's put up our RSI. And then the levels are 70 and 30. Okay, so how do we use this in line with a divergence? So this is how it works. Whenever I can see here a very slight background noise. Let me see if I can mute that person. All right, I think I've muted the person. So whenever you get a buy signal, all you have to wait for is for RSI to come back to the 30 level and then cross over. The RSI should be set at period 4. Excuse me. So whenever you get the buy signal, RSI has to come back below the 30 level, give you a signal, and then move upwards. So as if it is trying to go back upward. So let me show you examples. We had a buy signal at this point. So on step index currently, this is when we have RSI getting to that 30 level. All right. So we need to see RSI cross back up for us to take a potential buy signal. And then we need to check if it comes with a divergence. So we need to do this and then do something like so. This is a divergence potentially being anticipated on step index. And so if I get the RSI crossing over the 30 line, I'm going to be taking a buy signal. Possibly this time around, I'm going to be choosing my stop loss. Maybe just I cannot really spot a previous swing high. This is the last, so I'm just going to probably put it below this stop or take it here and then target 1:2 or 1:3. and as we can currently see, it is moving upward. And but I don't know how long that is going to last, so I wouldn't be dwelling so much on this. All right, but let's look at examples. So we had the sell signal here, right? Having established the sell signal, can you see RSI coming to the 70 level to give us a sell? And now let's check if it came with a divergence from this point to this point, and then from that point you have to trace it from that point. So we have three confluence: dynamic resistance working for us, divergence working for us, and RSI period 4 set to RSI period 4 turning downwards from the 70 level. Can you see? So all you have to do is wait for a bearish signal or a bearish candlestick before you can take a trade. Set your stop loss above just a few pips above the yellow line, and then target to 1:2 or 1:3. And you can see this was a good signal. And we had it here also. If you did set a stop loss here, this was good. So let's see, when we had the signal here, was there a divergence? Yes, there was a hidden divergence, because connecting this to this, where the signal came from, and on the main chart connecting this to this. So this is how you spot sniper entry. I mean, when I show you this on Puma Crash, going to the screen. All right, so this was where we would have gotten a potential trade setup, but RSI did not get to the 70 level. So this was another point where we got to the 70 level, and it also worked with the dynamic resistance, right? The dynamic resistance. Was there a divergence? No, there was not, because this is just a convergence. Convergence is when the price of the indicator, the movement of the indicator, and then the chart is moving pari passu. You can see this is heading upwards, and then this is also heading upwards. So this is a convergence and not a divergence. But we had two confluence. We had RSI going above the 70, crossing back below, and then we had the dynamic resistance. And for those of you who understand the concept of order blocks, I wouldn't also want to be teaching that. This was an order block sitting here because there was a break of structure at this point. All right, there was a break of structure at this point, just slightly, and so the order block was from this candle, and then price reacted. We had order block, we had dynamic resistance, and RSI getting to the 70 level. All right, so this was good, guys. I'm sorry, I think I was disconnected for some seconds. I hope you guys can still see my screen and hear me. If you can, please just say yes, I can, or drop the text.
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. All right, so let's go on. So this was a good signal at this point. Sorry, the nature of the indicator is making my chart a bit congested, but please just bear with the situation. That's why I tried editing it so that the lines can be less, but it's not really working. Okay. So let's look at more examples. So starting from this point where we had a buy signal, from this point, all we need to do is wait for RSI to get to the 30 level. You can refer to it as point of interest. And so you're going to now be looking for confluences. So was there a divergence? Yes, there was. So the thing is, the students introduced this indicator, but I had to think of better ways we can all enjoy it. So there was a divergence at this point, and then you need to still wait for the cross, because sometimes there can be a divergence but no cross, and then price starts falling down. So this is possibly how you can filter trade. So set a stop loss below, and you can see how beautiful this was. It did hit 1:3, 4, whichever you had as your target. We had, okay, this didn't really get to. Let me see. Okay, these are now. So take a look at these guys. Now we had an entry at this point, right? So we had an entry at this point, but when we got that entry, we had that indicator. Let me show you. Let's go closely. When RSI got to this point, we had that gray color indicative that we are in a ranging market. All right. So I personally, I can be stubborn at times because the overall sentiment is bullish. I will take it, but you can be cautious when it shows. You can decide to wait a little and just see if it's going to react. But let's say, assuming we took this particular trade, would have been stopped out because it did hit our stop loss. Though it was very clear that that was a ranging market. So let's go back to that point. Now, this was where we had another signal. So we had another signal at this point. So this was a good signal because when the bullish candle finished forming, it formed above the line, formed above the line. So was there a divergence? No, but there was an order block because we had a break of structure at this point. We had a break of structure. So where did the order block start from? Order block started from this level. If we mark our order block, you can see how price came back, tapped the order block, but there was no divergence because this is facing upward and this is also facing upward, right? So let's look at some more examples. So we have another example. Okay, we have another example here. So I think this acted as a dynamic support. This was also an order block because we have break of structure, order block, and this was a good trade. We had another one here. So this didn't last, but at least it was just a bit nice. But notwithstanding, you can see how RSI has been giving us sniper entries. So we had a sell signal at this point, and look at what happened. RSI did give us a signal. Remember, I said you need to wait for the
Oh, come
cross.
on.
You need to wait for the cross to go below the 70 level. And looking at this, was there a divergence? I cannot clearly see, but this was also a uh, resistance, dynamic resistance at this point, and then waiting for RSI to go below, we could have gotten a perfect sell setup. Now, take note of this. When the initial sell signal came, all right. So when the initial sell signal came, there was a divergence to confirm that sell signal. This is really powerful, guys. So the sell signal was coming with a divergence, and you can see how beautiful this move in your favor. Where is that place again? Sorry. Yeah. So we had a divergence plus set signal. Beautiful setup. I would have taken this. Now, because whenever this gives you a signal, whenever it gives you a signal, sometimes uh, price has already moved. So the reason why these filters and all that are coming is for you to get new entries and still ride the trend. So you can see this smart RSI getting to this point, but I don't think there was a divergence, except you want to do spiritual drawing at this point, at this point. But so we had something like this, and it was good. We also had that diagonal breakout at this point. So we had a sell signal here, where RSI gave you the signal to have a continuation trade, and this was powerful. I mean, the win rate at the win rate is great. I don't know if I should have, but I will. All right. So we had the buy signal at this point. Look at where RSI gave us is a buy continuation signal. We also it came with a dynamic support level. It came with a breakout. I mean, it came with a lot. We would have had another one here, but if in the absence of RSI giving you a signal, you can have your dynamic breakout plus a retest to the dynamic support and still enjoy your money. I mean, this is good. Good. So we have our sell signal here. Say prepare to sell. You just wait for RSI to spot opportunities. At this point, we had RSI giving but was above. So you can possibly wait for it to retest that dynamic support or support resistance. Wait for it to retest that dynamic resistance and then take your sell, or you wait for a breakout. So we had RSI giving us a signal at this point, and it was good. So if RSI gives you a signal and the overall sentiment is bearish, you wait for it to cross below, because it can go up and keep going upward. You wait for it to cross below. When it crosses below, you just wait for a breakout so that you can take a better entry. Let me come again. This is important. Whenever you have a sell signal and then the overall sentiment is bearish, and then RSI is giving you a signal, meanwhile price is above, all you can do is, if you're smart enough or if you know the concept of order blocks, you can actually enjoy trades like this. Break of structure, order block, you take it. That's where mentorship comes in. But without it, you can use this concept. Uh, break, just wait for price to break below your trend line, and then you can wait for the dynamic resistance to be tested, or you just enter after the trend line break. All right. But if you understand order blocks and all that, at the break of this structure here, there was an order block sitting here, and you can see that since the overall sentiment is bearish, you can possibly take a sniper crazy position from here and then kill Deriv, especially at this point where we had another structure taking. We had our other blocks sitting here. I mean, it could have possibly taken, but I don't want to go this quite advanced. So, guys, this is good. And which other one have we not spoken about? Let me see. Let's share. We have spoken. Okay, we have not spoken about Fibonacci. We have spoken about trend line break. We have spoken about divergence. We did a little about other blocks. We have spoken about the dynamic support and resistance. We have spoken about RSI set to period 4. Then Fibonacci. Let's see. Let me see if I can something just a second. Sharp profits. All right. So speaking about divergence. Okay, let me also bubble a little. So the best divergence I prefer taking is from the 60 level and from the 60 level and 50 level. So whenever, let me go back to our MT5. All right, so whenever you get the buy signal, you start from whenever you get the buy signal for you to take possible buy entries using divergence, sorry, using the Fibonacci, you start from for a buy signal, you start from the support and draw to the closest resistance. Okay, so we didn't see price coming to the 50 level or 61.8. So let's get to the next one. Um, so I'm going to draw from here, this support level to this resistance level, and we're trying to get to the pullback. So we could see that price reacted from 2 level. So there was no signal, but let me show you a possible signal which I was able to figure out. Let's start from here to this level. Okay, so there was no one here. Let me come here. Just a minute. So let's start from this next resistance to this next support. All right. So drawing from this resistance or from this point to this next support, you can see price reacting from the 61.8. I'm not really a big fan of Fibonacci, but the Fibonacci helps you spot out where the retracement in an uptrend or a downtrend is going to continue from. Let me see if I can figure out better examples. I think we should have some good examples here. So example, if you're drawing from this point to this point, this actually broke out of the 61.8, was started retracing. Let's draw again. So first things first, you need your sell signal, and then you draw from that resistance to the closest support. So I'm taking this resistance, and then you can see price reacting at the 50.0. I personally prefer 61.8. I don't know why. Works a lot more for me. So let's see from here. From here to this point, price actually broke through all this, so there was no perfect retest and all that. But maybe I can see better examples. Okay, so let's try this. All right, so drawing from this point of support to this point of resistance, you can see price coming to 61.8 to give you a buy setup, and that was also where RSI was giving you a buy setup, and that was also where a divergence was also shown. All right, so this was multiple confluence. Fibonacci, we have the buy sentiment because the signal for a buy started from this point. So I'm connecting my next support and resistance and then waiting for price to tap to the 61.8. That was where RSI gave me a signal and then there was a divergence. So these are the Fibonacci. How you can possibly use the Fibonacci with this indicator to spot pullbacks. Example, we had our sell signal from here. We had our sell signal from here. So we are going to take the resistance and support that presented itself. We have this resistance, then we have this support. So we can see price reacting at 1.8. Thank you. So we have price, we have first a sell signal at this point, and now connecting our resistance this level and this level, we can see price reacting at 61.8, though it went across it broke through it a little, but still later reacted, and that was where we also had RSI indicative for a possible sell. I don't think there was a divergence, no, there wasn't. So this is how you can possibly use the 61.8 level. So I think I've reviewed so much. Um, which pair do you want me to look at? Let's see how this works. Just anybody mention any pair of your choice.
V75.
Okay, VIX 75. I think I should have VIX 75. Okay, so we're on VIX 75. Let me go to the. So I have the template saved. I will share the template also. So this is VIX 75 on 1 hour time frame, but let's look at our 15 minutes time frame because 1 hour the stop loss is going to be amazing. Right. So we have a sell signal on 15 minutes VIX 75, and so you can see how the sell signal was really delayed. Okay, but so like I said, do not take their trade except when you're taking the trade, it's coming at a reversal. At that point, it's going to make a lot of sense. But whenever price has already moved far, just understand that it gives you the sentiment of the market, and also note that 15-minute time frame is also a small time frame to have a large data analysis. All right, so also have that in mind also. All right, so we have what I mean by large data. It's not one of those time frames whereby you can enter a trade and you would want to hold for the rest of the day, because 15 minutes it's for intraday trades. You just enter. The only way or the only reason you should hold, if the 1 hour H4 sentiment aligns with that of the 15 minutes, then you can possibly hold. All right. So we have a sell sentiment at this point. So we need to wait for RSI to give us, or probably use our diagonal breakout or dynamic resistance. So you can see price touching the dynamic resistance and reacting, and then this was the only point RSI actually got to the 70 level. Sometimes it does not really get, but some of the best opportunities you could possibly get is when it gets to that 70 level. It gives you much more confidence, and we also had a slight divergence here. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. Sorry. All right, so it's very minute, and then we had that major move down. All right, so this is on the 15 minutes. Let's look at more examples. So we had the buy signal here, but obviously there was no entry. So we had a sell signal at this point, but look at where RSI gave us a sell. Remember, when this sell signal emanated, the sentiment for VIX 75, it's automatically bearish. So what can we do? RSI at this point telling us to sell. Now, when it is telling me to sell, I'm going to check, is a bit advanced. I'm going to check if there was another block it is respecting. This is the order block for this level. And then if I'm going to do this, because I can see a zone that was broken here, so we have another order block here. All right, so this is quite advanced, but like I said, you don't have to stress yourself doing this. All you can do is wait for price to go back below your trend line. You wait for your diagonal breakout, and so this is where you can possibly be taking. So though we are getting a buy signal here, but the more you play around this indicator and get used to it, you would understand that the overall sentiment is bearish. And so if you couldn't get your sniper entry from this level, you can wait for the diagonal breakout and then enter at this level, and you can see this was a good trade. All right, so all right, so we had the buy signal here, but there was no uh, indication for us to take it buy. Well, even when RSI got here, there was no cross, there was no breakout, there was nothing backing that trade. So we had a sell signal here. Now, if you take note of this sell signal, it's it's not so delayed. It's just a few candles after this ranging market. All right, a few candles after this ranging market. That was where we got this sell signal, and it was good, but we did not get, okay, RSI at this point gave us another sell signal. So we have, was there a divergence? Let me see, from this level to this level. Yes, so there was a possible divergence here, but this trade did not last. Okay, and if you also notice, this was where the breakout happened. was where the breakouts happen. So I really like this breakout strategy because it just helps you sometimes protect you. And because if you notice, drawing your trend line here, you can see the bounce on the trend line until after the breakouts happen. So, but notwithstanding, let's say you took the sell signal as a result of the divergence at least, and as a result of RSI, this would have been a loss. So you can call this a loss, all right? You must not win at all times. So we had a buy signal, we didn't get a signal from RSI, and then we had a sell signal at this point. Did we get a sell signal? Yes, so we had a sell signal here. This was just a 1:1 move, and we had price going above the bearish sentiment. So, like I said, all you have to do is wait for price to go below it, and then use a perfect diagonal breakout below your bearish sentiment to take. Else, only think of taking buy signals, right? So we have this is the sell signal we just spoke about. So this is the buy signal. There was no opportunity for us. This was a sell signal. This is the only opportunity I would have taken. There was a good breakout at this point. You would have taken the sell. And so now we also had RSI at some point telling us to sell, telling us to sell. Was there a divergence? Remember, when you have your bearish sentiment and then prices, you're still getting a sell signal, you have to use order block, because that is the only way you can possibly enjoy um, sniper trades like this. This was where the other blocks were sitting. Or if you don't understand other blocks, you have to wait for the trend line breakout below the line, below your bearish sentiment, okay? Or you spot divergence, but I cannot really spot any divergence here. This from here to here moving up, here to here moves up, here to here moves down, here to here moves down. So there was no divergence. So for now, the only conservative entry you could have taken is this one because of this neat diagonal breakout which you had or have at this point. All right. So, but with the concept of order blocks, you're really going to kill this market. And so I'm possibly also recommending the mentorship class for you. All right. So we had a buy signal here. And yes, so like I said, whenever the buy signal comes as a result of a pullback, take it. It is good. That's a sniper for you. A pullback, it is giving you, and then we also had a divergence, perfectly aligning. And so this is VIX 75. And we also did have another signal at this point. This also did start at the break and retest level. This we talk about A's and V's. Not so. Uh, Look at this level, and then look at this level where RSI pointing back upward because the overall sentiment is bullish. Okay, overall sentiment is bullish, so we could possibly have a buy signal here, but this might be a little bit confusing. You don't need to stress yourself. Just take trades above the blue line. Wait for your breakouts for easier entries. If you don't see a good setup, do not take. Right, so we had a buy signal here. This buy signal, was it coming as a result of a pullback? It's just a minor pullback. Okay, well, this was good. There was no much move before this happened. We had RSI, but RSI did not get to the 30 level. If not, this would have been perfect. Notwithstanding, the more you get used to these indicators, you can see that this was also a divergence. This was a divergence confirming that pullback. All right, and that was good, though that was not one of those entries we can possibly use. We needed it to at least retest our dynamic support, or RSI needed to touch the 30 line. Okay, so this is good. And then we had a sell signal at this point. Now when we had a sell signal, this was where RSI was giving us a confirmation for us to take a trade, but I could have also enjoyed some good breakouts, at this point. right? Also enjoyed some good breakouts. That's why I took my time to teach you all the possible ways you could or you would have entered. So we have a buy signal here. We have RSI giving us a signal, and also we had a breakout. At this point, all these are diagonal breakouts, and guys, this is really massive. We have a signal here, and this was where RSI gave us a signal. But if you notice, there was no diagonal breakout, so you can see how you would have stayed out of this trade. But notwithstanding, if you did take this trade, at least you had some good move before probably stopped out at break even. I know that. I know that. So can someone else give me another pair?
Everybody is quiet.
Hello.
Should we look at any jump indices? You can mention any jump index of your choice so that we could just look at it.
Something.
Jump 10. All right, thank you. Jump 10. Where are you? All right. So let's go to our 15-minute time frame. All right, so this has been killing jump. So we have our let me reduce the thickness is too much. So just like this is better. Okay, so we have a sell sentiment on jump 10. All right, you can see how late this signal is. Obviously, this is gonna hit stop loss. So, but the sentiment is still bearish, and you can see where RSI is crossing over for a sell. We have missed the sell signal, but would I have taken this? Was it at any point? Was there any other block? This way I would have taken it at this level, but it didn't tap into that other block level. So just going to leave it for them. All right, so we had the long-term buy bias. So now when we had this buy, we are going to wait for our opportunities. RSI first, giving us a signal here. So this was good, guys. Wait for our bullish confirmation. And this was also acting as a dynamic support level. And then this was massive. Let's look at this. Didn't get safe. Now this would have been good. This would have been good. There was no divergence also here, so no wahala. So let's see this. We had a buy signal here. Yeah, there was a divergence, but this didn't really move so much in our favor. So let's assume this was a loss. And then we had a buy signal. So when you get a buy signal, take note of this. Let me go forward a little. Whenever you get a buy signal with a long candle that covers over 3 candle, avoid, because a pullback is certainly going to happen. So we had another buy signal here. So when you get a buy signal against the trend, remember what I said, you wait for your breakout, you wait for price to go back. All right, so you just wait for that breakout, connect your two levels. So connecting these two levels, this is where this was not really perfect. So, and that's because, how am I going to put it? That is because the breakout occurred and then price T went down. Notwithstanding, the overall sentiment is bullish. So what you can possibly do in cases like this, mark those levels, right? Just mark those levels price reacted from, or the support levels, because price can tap into those support and then move back up. But when it taps into those levels, you're going to look at, okay, is there divergence also acting in my favor? All right, look at these breakouts at this point. So a whole lot is being considered, because sometimes RSI gives you a signal and then you still get price going back to hit your stop loss. It happens. That's why whenever you get a signal, check, is there a divergence, is there a possible breakout. These are a lot of confluences we just try to put together to help us filter trades. All right, the best trades you can take is at good pullbacks that comes with divergence or previous support or resistance or other blocks. All right, so that's just going to really help you. So we had a sell sentiment here, and then we had a RSI giving us a sell signal, though this didn't move so much, but at least just a 1:1 move. Okay, so we had a buy sentiment here. This was where RSI was possibly giving us a signal. There was no good confirmation, and then if we did draw our trend line, there was no breakout also, so that is going to be ignored. And then if you notice, price was already below, so we needed to just wait for that breakout to happen before we can possibly think of taking a signal. So we have our sell sentiment at this point. Now when you get to sell sentiment, you can mark up the resistance levels, because prices may just possibly come back to those resistance example. This is a resistance level, you can mark it. All right, but let's draw our breakout. So when we had this sentiment, we look for our diagonal breakout. So this is where we can possibly take a signal. So these are signals that we had, but they did not really last so well because they were all stopped at. And then if you notice, our indicator was saying the market was ranging. It was all in gray color. From this point up to this point, you can see it's in gray color. So one thing you can do to filter out fake signals, once you get the gray color appear, just wait for that diagonal breakout so that you can possibly take better entries. So you can see another diagonal breakout at this point. So RSI coming to your 70 level is indicative of, okay, this is where you can possibly set. I am a fan of sniper entries. All right, so that's why at the point I'm taking a trade, I really want the trade to move in my favor. But if you also take note of these levels, there are some rally base rally, drop base drop, where you can possibly have taken those signals from. All right, but that's not what we're going to be dealing with. So this jumped in, and we had the buy signal here, bullish sentiment, and though it was good, we had RSI. So when RSI does not touch the 30, remember what I say, you check if it was a divergence. Yes. So there was a divergence at this point, and you can see how nice the signal was. It was good. Was there divergence here? No divergence. All right, so we had RSI giving us a signal at this point. Was it good? Yes, it was good. There was also a divergence plus a dynamic support, right? So you target, sorry, so you target to 1:3. Okay, so this is how well this has been effective. So you take it, your sell signal comes here, it's your bias. All right, you wait for RSI, good pullback, you can see divergence here, divergence here, and then your bearish candle confirmation. It was good. So we had a signal here. All right, so when we got the signal, we had those grays looking color, indicating that the market is ranging. Now we standing, when it's broke above, you wait for your diagonal breakout to take your sell signal here. Perfect. We had another one, you can wait for your diagonal breakout. Perfect. I mean, guys, this is killing. So at this point, these are areas where the market can be pretty challenging, but notwithstanding, in a ranging market, just you can be scalping, buying off previous support, but make sure the overall sentiment is still bullish. That you just keep buying at previous support until the sentiment changes, right? So we had the sell sentiment here. We had a good drop beige drop at this point where you would have taken. This is quite advanced. I'm just trying to um, show you guys how you can still use the sentiment, because sometimes price goes above it so that you don't get limited to this and say, sir, RSI, why is it not respecting? Yes, these are some of the things you need to understand, because the market always goes back to where sharps are set, right? So RSI is only there to show you point of interest. Notwithstanding, you can wait for the crossovers. The crossovers are good filters because it can get there and then keep staying above without crossing it. So at the crossovers you can take, and then you could have larger stop losses to accommodate price. At the end of the day, if that bias is going to hold, it's going to move in your favor. So we had another diagonal breakout at this point. So this is where you possibly take a sell signal, and this was good. We had RSI at this point, and this was almost more like a sniper because it was a break and retest of a previous level. So I'm not really going into price action and all that, but these are just ways you can possibly enjoy step index volatilities, boom and crash, and all that and all that. So it's a good indicator. I've given you various ways you can uh, make do with it and see how you can enjoy. So guys, I'm going to be doing more videos on this, but I think this is something that is very effective. It's very good, combining indicators plus price action plus example areas like this. You're going to you have your sell sentiment, RSI divergence. We had a lot of good signals at this point. So guys, this is really good. So any question before I call it a day?
Sorry, Dave, I got in late. How do we get this indicator?
Yeah, say I'm going to share it on the platform.
Oh, okay.
So anybody wants to ask me that question? This is almost 1 hour, 1 hour 28 minutes. Wow, 1 hour 30 minutes. That's nice. I mean, just going back, looking at it, it's RSI with this indicator is a massive killer. Buy sentiment, RSI, RSI breakouts. It's good. You have a diagonal breakout at this point. You just play around it. So the challenge most of you will have is levels like this. And maybe when I'm doing the part, I'll show you how to filter this. So any question, guys? I believe I did justice to teaching, and in that case, thank you so much for having me, and thank you. Though we did not look at Boom and Crash, let's see, nobody wants to look at Boom and Crash, why not? If I show you on Boom and
We want
Crash,
to expand. Okay, show us one for boom and crash, please. We want to expand our horizon.
okay. If I show you on Boom and Crash, how much will you pay me?
There's no amount that is no, is invaluable.
It's alright. All right, on boom and crash. So we have a buy signal here, buy sentiment. This is a killer. So I mean, we have RSI at this point telling us to buy. Though this is good because if you did take this trade, at least you would have gotten these spikes, and this on 15-minute time frame anyway, you would have enjoyed. But there was no divergence. But now take a look at this diagonal breakouts. So you'd have enjoyed this particular breakout trade, and also take a look at this point where RSI crossed. There was a crazy order rally base rally plus order block sitting here. I mean, this is good. So we had another RSI at this point. Good. We had another RSI at this point. Good.
Wow.
We also had a breakout. We also had a breakout. We also had RSI at this point. I really did not want to do this anyway, but since you guys. All right. So now we now have a bullish, a bearish sentiment. RSI did not give us, if not, this would have been perfect, but we had that diagonal breakout at this point, and let's see what we have. So currently, I'm just possibly waiting for this level. Although this level has been, I'm just waiting. We have a bullish sentiment, so I should expect RSI to get to 30 level, and possibly I can ride it back upwards. So, I mean, this was Jesus. So this is where we had our sales set up. So a lot of signals crossing. So you can just possibly, like I said, wait for that diagonal breakout so that you are trading below it, and so you can take your sell at the breakout. Or if you understand the concept of order blocks, you would have used these levels to possibly take sales. But you can just use it to catch spikes alone. But notwithstanding, it's good you also know how to trade all parts of the market. So we have another diagonal break at this point. And then when RSI gives you, remember the overall sentiment is you can wait for that cross. Even at this cross, that was where we had a previous structure where we can take a trade. All right, see this, you can see this also. There was also a divergence here from where RSI was giving us this particular signal. Okay, so you can see how beautiful this was. So we have RSI giving us a signal here, so we can wait for it to cross below, check if there is breakouts, and we move. We had another signal here, so there was a divergence, this facing downwards and this facing upward. This crazy. So you could also take enjoy trades at dynamic resistance and support in the absence of RSI, or spot divergences for trades. So we have another one here. We have another crazy sell signal here. Man, this is powerful, guys. It's powerful, and then back to where we had our, so because most times RSI will just be below that 70 line. It just helps you avoid trades, just helps you avoid. So when we had our buy sentiment, we would have enjoyed this trade as a result of this zone here. Also enjoyed this as a result of this order block here. Order block here. There was also another order block here. So, and then when we got this buy signal, there was no divergence. So I don't think, no, so no diagonal breakouts at this level. So this was good signal at this level. It was good signal. Me, guys, this is good. Just enjoy yourself, make money with this as much as you can. That's all I can say. So, any question? Anything, any observation? Anyway, so I'm going to upload this. I'm going to send the indicator on the channel, and let me see if I can send it now. Yes, I just remember there was something I wanted to show you. Another indicator which helps you spot. Maybe I should just leave that one.
Please now.
Okay, Trendline Pro. Again, I'll share the templates also. I've posted the indicator on the platform. Let me share the templates. You can use it on Forex also. But Forex has its ways because of the much manipulation that it comes with. There are better ways you can trade the Forex market. Maybe we'll talk about that anyway. Yeah, I'm trying to get the templates. Just a minute. Where do they see templates? Okay, so I'll check the templates platform.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. Wait, now you people interested or not? I mean, if I return the money,
Okay, so I'm going to share this also. It just helps you spot key levels. This was how beautiful it was on Crash 1000. We had buy signal, diagonal breakouts. It was mad. Look at this buy signal that came with the divergence. I mean, we have a lot. So this was the sell signal. We had that breakout. We had, guys, this is nice. Okay, so I think that's where we're going to stop for today. And see you guys in another meeting. God bless you guys. Thanks for having me. And
Sorry, Dave.
Thank you very
yes,
much.
Quick
yes,
question.
someone wanted to ask a question.
I just tried to load the indicator on my terminal. It refused to attach to any chart. Is there anything I was supposed to have done because I didn't join class early?
Which of them? The Trend Pro.
Yes, the Trendline Pro.
Okay. In cases, okay, let me just show you guys what to do in case you're unable to. Um,
It
if you
loaded.
got
It loaded on the terminal quite all right. It's in my data folder, but
Okay.
Not when I put the chart, it just gives me an error and tells me it can't attach.
Okay, no problem. Probably in that case, you may need to download it. So this is just what I'm trying to show you. Let me switch my screen for you. So what you can do, if you, in case you have that challenge, you just go to MQL5. All right. Just search trend line for NT5. So this is it here. So you just download it. The reviews are nice. It has a 4.76 rating. So and then I think someone converted it on EA, and it was nice. So notwithstanding, we'll just see how we can maximize it and all that. All right. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
No problem. People that want to go, I will force you out. Bye. That's a big